Now, Sunday, I put out a video. I think I may have credited whoever sent it to me because I can't remember his name now. So sorry about that. Or her, or she. Women also contribute, you know, not just to this channel, to society in general. They bear our children. We should be grateful for that. That's why we allowed them to vote. Hello, women. They've done me bit for sexual equality there. Got that in early doors. You know I'm only joking, sweetheart. So, I did a video about BYD dumping 1,600 cars in a water park in Australia. And naturally, the floaterati lost their shit on a Sunday. I mean, it was a beautiful thing to watch from the comfort of my sofa. As they had a meltdown over me spreading misinformation yet again. You honestly think I did that video for any other reason? I know that BYD and everyone else dump cars all over the world, everywhere. But as long as you keep telling me that they aren't pre-registering them, I will keep telling you they are. Because they are. And if you notice, on that BYD, no, not the one, on this one that I'm about to talk about, every single car already has a number plate. It's been registered. So, but, weirdly, that's not the crux of this video. Because, again, apologies to whoever sent this to me, but it's been a fascinating little journey for me because in a place just outside Melbourne, again in Australia, there are 3,000 BYDs parked in a compound. These all have number plates. Photos. Here's where the place is. AA recycling and pick apart vehicle breakers. So, with the wonder that is Google Earth, I was able to swoop down Street View. In we go. But Street View is only available from 2022. Google, sort your lives out. Get back over to Australia and drive that stupid car with all the cameras on it round the outskirts of Melbourne and get your bloody thing updated. It's 3 years out of date, man. I'm sure Google are a big fan of this channel, you know, so I'm sure they'll pay attention. So anyway, you go on Google Earth and it's just an empty industrial estate. There's nothing there. There's no sign of the compound. But I assume it's across the road from where this breakers is. So there they are. Another 3,000 pre-registered BYDs parked up in a compound in Australia. And they've been there for months, according to my source, whose name I forget again. Apologies. But that's not the important thing here. Because when I went on the Street View and I walked up and down the street and had a look, and then I seen this sign. And it just brought back so many happy memories. Because you can't do this here anymore. It doesn't happen in this country. Over in Australia, this is a car breakers and it's a self-service one. Now, I know my demographic is all of a certain age, and right now, you're all having it. Oh, remember those days. Oh, it even says on the sign, bring your own tools. Now, for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about the unbridled joy of on a Saturday morning, getting up, hungover to shit, and going, I need a new door handle for my Escort Mark III. In my case, Scrapyard about 8 mile that way. No, not even that. 4 mile that way. Cumbelix. And you get in, because back then you had a car, but you also had a motorbike. Because that's what happened. So you get on your motorbike, you stuff a couple of screwdrivers in your pockets, and you go up and you walk in the office, go, right, mate, I want a handle for a Ford Escort Mark III. And you go, yeah, row 17, level number 2. And off you go into the scrapyard, like Scrap Heap Challenge, but in real life. And you go into the scrapyard and you look around at all the cars, and then you find the one you want. And hopefully, fingers crossed, it's on the bottom level. Because if not, and this is where health and safety has ruined life, my boy will never experience the joy of this. Oh, there's that Escort up there. So you just jump up on the car bonnet, you swing yourself up onto the next level, and it could be 3i, and you're up there, and you open the door of the car, and now you're hanging back out over fresh air, and then you get in the car, you get your screwdrivers out your pocket, and you take out the door handle that you want, and you get your door handle, and then while you're there, you take a fag lighter, or you take an ignition, or you take an indicator stalk, or you might have a knob off the radio, or hazard warning light button, and you put that in your pocket as well, because that was like cash back. And they knew what you were doing, but these things don't really have a value to them like that, so they weren't too bothered back then. And then you climb back down, and then you walk back through the office, and you go, all right, mate, there's my handle. We go, yeah, that's a £5, and you give them the £5, and then you go home and you fit it. And that's how we used to get car parts in the 80s and 90s. And it was just a thing of joy. So when I seen this sign this morning, I was just lying there in bed thinking, oh my God, what great days they were. And the thing is, it wasn't just a door handle. It could be anything. It could be, oh, I want a throttle body for a Vauxhall Viva. Yeah, mate, that's over there. And if you could get if it was accident damage, you might not be able to get the bonnet open. But hopefully if you could get the bonnet open and you could get your spanners in there and you could undo the bugger, you could take it away with you that day. And what a wonderful time it was to be alive when you look back at it. I mean, granted, as a man who's written a few risk assessments in my life and done a few health and safety policies for businesses, I don't know quite how I would have risk assessed that. A member of the public with a pocket stuffed full with sharp screwdrivers climbing up 3 stories to hang off it. And, I mean, the cars were stable-ish. But, I mean, ish. Sometimes they were just stacked on top of each other. They weren't even in racking. So you just have one car sitting on the roof of the other car with no wheels on it. And you just climb up there. Oh, it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing to have happened. And I'm so glad I got to do it. And I know right now, you are there typing, going, oh, Tone, I used to love that. We used to go to mine and blah, 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 blah. And hopefully my comments will be full of stories of stuff you did in scrapyards. Because it was just it was like a rite of passage. First time I ever went to one, I had a Yamaha DT50. And I can't remember what I needed for it. Hang on, where did I go? Wasn't a set of handlebars, so if it wasn't the bars, it would have been the indicators. The little indicator switch that you slid over it only held in with a screw. And used to be a place called Slippery Sam's up St Stephen's. Generally. I don't know what its real name was. Everyone called it Slippery Sam's. Go up Slippery's. He'll have one up there on the shelf. And you get it for £2. And then on the way back, it became like a day out. Right, should we go Cabela's on the way back? Yeah, what do you need? Well, I could probably do with a gear knob for a Ford Fiesta Mark 1. Well, go and see if we can find one, shall we? And we go in and it was something to do on a Saturday morning, and that's what you did. It was just joyous. And I'm going to have to go and tell my boy about this now, because it was just a wonderful one. No, I won't have to, because he'll watch the video. Jonah, right, there you go. That's me told you now. Feel free to ask questions about it when we go to the pub. So what I want to say is thank you for bringing me the story about the BYDs, which, you know, is interesting in itself because it proves that there's more than one case of it. But more importantly, thank you for giving me such a lovely trip down memory lane. And on behalf of all the men, I mean, I'm going to say, I never seen a woman in a scrapyard, all right? Not back then. It might be acceptable now, but back then, you never seen a woman in the scrapyard. So all the men that have just sat there and gone, Town, how good was that? So on behalf of all of them too, thank you for sending me that story. You literally made me smile for the first 2 hours of the day. So it was bloody lovely. Oh, if only we could bring... I mean, on that subject, though, I used to like Scrap Heap Challenge. Some blokes who you would find in a scrapyard on a Saturday morning getting bits for their Ford Granada so they could go banger racing on a Saturday afternoon. Or Sunday afternoon, normally Sundays when it banger racing. And they had a Mark II Granada because you only ever did banger racing in Granadas and Jags back then. They'd be there. And then next thing, they're on telly. And they're building a cannon out of an old Land Rover engine and some bits of metal bar. And then they get a battery on that, see if it'll fire up. Oh, she goes, right, we got an engine. And what good, and Joan actually said to me, Joan and my son, by the way, in case you're forgetting who he is, he said to me, oh, Dad, we grew up watching that together. It was brilliant. You just sit there on a Sunday and watch a couple of episodes of Scrap Heap Challenge. He said, hey, it was ace, wasn't it? He said, no wonder I fell in love with cars. It was just ace to watch. And now they've ruined it because they're doing an electric version. So Zap Scrap Heap Challenge or something, where you're only allowed to use electric motors and you're only allowed to use batteries and there's no petrol or diesel allowed. And what a load of old shit. I mean, where's going to be the fun? With someone coming along in a scrapyard and going, oh, careful with those batteries, because they may be unstable. So you're going in a full chemical hazard suit, or like that bird on Trigger Point that I was watching last night, big bomb-proof suit on, and then she goes in with an altimeter and goes, oh, we've got voltage. Complete silence, of course. You won't hear a thing. Yeah, we've got voltage. There'll be no moving parts. It just, much like the scrap heap analogy that I've just told, Scrap Heap Challenge going electric, again, is ruining it for a whole generation who will never get the joy of pulling an old Toyota Corolla with a quad out from a pile of scrap and going, that's a Toyota Corolla, that will start. Get a battery on it, or very often just join the two wires together, off she goes. Oh, what wonderful times. And yet again, been ruined by the floaters. I mean, it's like, they're like a fun sponge, which is really what I used to call the health and safety manager at Hinkley when I worked with the nuclear power station. Not on the nuclear power station, just outside it in the hospitality bit, by the way. He was called Andy the Fun Sponge. In fact, he's still in my phone now as Andy the Fun Sponge. Because I never delete phone numbers, even though I left there 6-7 years ago. Because they are like fun sponges, floaters. They take all the joy out of everything. There's no joy in a milk float. There's no noise. There's no smell. There's no sound. There's nothing moving. It's not visceral, darling. It's just not. And now they're sucking it out of our TV programmes as well, the dirty bastards. So, anytime. In fact, why don't we do that? That's what we should do. We should have a challenge to go over to Australia and just get things out of scrapyards to build cars with. I just go over there, get a car that it needs some bits doing, and you can only fix it with stuff from a scrapyard. And you guys, the Scrap Heap Challenge is to just go around these pick your own place parts bit with a boot full of tools and see if you can get all the parts you need. Australians, pay attention. I've just given you a brilliant idea for a series. You can have your own YouTube channel out of this and be like me and just sit and talk to a camera for half hour a day. Because, I mean, it's a long way to go to film a 20-minute video. And at the moment, I really don't have the budget to fly me and a cameraman out to Australia to then drive around buying cars and everything. So you could do it. Jeff, get on with it. Take me as your sidekick. I'll be like the Elvis to your Mike Brewer. Thing is, I know Jeff don't watch my videos just like I don't watch his, so we'll just have to have a telephone call about it in a couple of days' time when I get back broken from Benidorm. So there you are. BYD have dumped a load of cars in a scrapyard in Australia, pre-registered, and the good thing is that you can go and get parts for normal cars across the road in their sister business. What a wonderful thing that is. Scrapyards were brilliant. Mark 1 Fiestas broke down all the time. As they, you notice I use Fords as examples because those were the cars you went and got bits for, let's be honest. They just were. Or it might be an Astra. But that was it, really. In Cornwall, if you turned up in a Japanese car in the car park when you were 18 years old, you'd be laughed out of there. It just wouldn't be funny at all. You'd get away with being European. You'd get away with a bit of German action. But you ain't getting away with turning up in a Nissan back then. It just didn't happen. And then we realised that they were actually brilliant cars, but it was too late by then because we were already in our 20s and growing up. And then I discovered that the Supra was a wonderful thing. And then by the time I went round to buy one, everyone else had discovered that they were a wonderful thing. And I couldn't afford one. Still on the list. Anyway, Scrapyards, future my arse.